Community Insights. I'm your host, Ellie Edmunson, president of local organization Youth for Justice and Change, in which our goal is to have youth involvement in the community through service, activism, leadership, and education, and also for us to have a say in the decision-making of our community. Today, I am accompanied by Miss Liz Lyles, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with you today. I'm Liz Lyles. I'm the founder and CEO of Daughters of Worth, a nonprofit here out of Pitt County. I'm serving about 1,000 girls a month throughout Eastern North Carolina. I'm an Eastern North Carolina girl. I'm currently a student at ECU pursuing my master's in social work and have been in the nonprofit world for about 15 years, but started Daughters of Worth back in 2015.
Awesome. So, Daughters of Worth, what is the mission of this organization, and how do you as a group fulfill this mission?
I love that question. So Daughters of Worth exist to educate, to equip, and to empower girls of all ages to become strong women of influence in their communities. And so the way that we live out our mission is through the programs that we offer. We educate through our Glam Girls Living a Mission program that happens in 15 different locations. So traditionally that's in 14 different schools and the Boys and Girls Club. That looks like group mentorship, where we help girls to know their worth, to learn about healthy relationships, goal setting, service learning opportunities, leadership development, their scholarship opportunities. So much fun. I could talk for 2 hours just on that program alone. But we also equip girls because we believe that for a girl to know her worth, she also has to have her basic needs met. And what we find a lot is that a lot of the girls here in Pitt County, as well as in surrounding areas, do not have access to some of the basic items that you and I take for granted. So things such as food and clothing, shelter, school supplies, things of that nature. We really come in to help those girls and provide them with those basic needs and equip them with those tools, and then we empower them. We love the empowerment piece and helping girls to discover that their voice has power and to be able to have the confidence to speak their truth, to share their stories in the spaces that they choose to do so, and to ask for help when they need it, but also to empower girls to encourage and empower other girls in the process as well.
That's so awesome. That whole organization sounds like a blessing to me when I hear about it. So how was this organization started?
Absolutely. So in 2015, at the time I was working with another organization and began to connect with different girls that I had met here in the community. We had a beautiful 9-year-old little girl who came up to me one night and had tears streaming down her face. And her question to me that night was, "Miss Lizzie, how do I make it stop?" And I asked her, "How do I make what stop?" And she explained to me that her brother was part of a gang, and part of the initiation for the boys and the men to come into that gang was to come into her room and to rape her little 9-year-old body. And so this beautiful little girl was sleeping with a knife tucked in her pillow and praying every night the boys and men would not come in and rape her. We had 2 girls, one in middle school and high school, who were living with their grandmother in the guardianship of their grandma. Mom and dad were not a part of the picture, and I soon discovered that these 2 girls were being trafficked. They were being sold out for sex in order for the grandmother to have money to pay rent and utilities. So these girls had discovered that their bodies were profit. We had another girl that was about 16. She had been gang raped by 5 guys in broad daylight in her front yard. We had a girl that was living with her mom for 1.5 years in a car. The home that they had previously, there was damage to that home, and there was not insurance enough to cover it, and it left this sweet girl and her mom homeless. Numerous stories. I could literally sit here for 5 hours and tell you the girls of Greenville, the girls of Pitt County that we have served who have similar stories as these, whether it is dire poverty, whether that is assault, neglect, abuse, trafficking, domestic violence, substance use. And across the board, as I was listening to these sweet girls begin to reveal their hearts and their stories, my question to each one of them is, sweet girl, who do you go to? Who is your safe person when you come home and there's no food to eat, when you're being touched and violated and abused, when you're being sold out for sex? And across the board, every one of those girls looked at me straight in the eye and said, Miss Lizzie, we don't have anybody. And at that moment, I knew that this is what I was called to do. Starting a nonprofit was never anything that I had envisioned for my life. It was not something I woke up one day and decided that this is what I wanted to do. But hearing the hearts and the stories of the girls of our communities, I believe with everything inside of me that when we see a need that's here in our community, and for me that was these beautiful girls, that we have an obligation to stand up and to make a difference and to advocate. And so Daughters of Worth was started and founded as a direct result of listening to those precious girls.
Those are some very heavy topics, too.
Absolutely, yeah.
Very heavy. How do you... I'm sorry, I don't know how to put it. How do you, how does that affect you? I know it's the emotional connection between these girls and you sharing that trauma, but how do you stay so strong?
That's a hard question. I'm still learning the answer to that, to be honest. I think the power of the people that you surround yourself in is so important. I am surrounded by a beautiful tribe of people, of women and community partners. One of the things I love most about the county that we live in is that we have got the strongest, most amazing community leaders and nonprofit organizations that are here, and we work so well to collaborate together. We build each other up. There's a lot of talk about resiliency, a lot of that work that's being done in our community that gives you that safe place to land. But you're right. These are stories that stay with you. It's been 5 years. I can still see those tears. I can still hear those stories. It's not something that you turn away from at all or cut off, but it's something that in the middle of this, I find my strength. I'm also a woman of faith. So between the power of prayer for me and the power of knowing that every day and asking God every day to use my life and to use my breath to make a change, I think for me it would be harder if I was not doing something to make a difference, but knowing that my breath and my work is being done to advocate for these girls and to hopefully change and shift that trajectory for them. That is what fuels me in the process.
Yes, I know our community is so on board with everything that we do to help each other in the community. So what has been your organization's greatest challenge amidst the COVID-19 pandemic?
I think our greatest challenges, there have been several. A lot of our families were already struggling. We have a number of girls that have transitioned out of foster care. So the moment they turn 18, they're kicked out of their space. There's no family. There's no support. Watching job loss, watching income stop, watching, we've had several girls that have become homeless in the process. The needs, the financial needs have definitely increased, and that's something that we have seen prior to COVID, and so you couple that with all these other tragedies that have occurred, and that has been definitely difficult. The other piece is connection. A lot of the work that we do is directly face-to-face and serving the girls of our communities directly, and so when you cut off that connection and they are removed from their safe space, from their schools, from the people that they can count on, and they are pretty much isolated, and many without access to devices or to internet service, that creates a whole new hardship in itself. So we're seeing a variety of different hardships that have come from COVID, even though they look very different.
Mm-hmm. Your organization is very important on ensuring that girls are safe.
Yes.
and that they have the opportunity to be successful in life no matter where they come from or their background. So how can Pitt County and surrounding communities, because this organization spreads across all of Eastern North Carolina, how can our communities help and support your organization?
Thank you. So one of the biggest needs right now, of course, with everything else is funding. It takes money to do the work that we're doing. In fact, today I'm leaving from here to go and to help pay rent for one of our girls that has lost a job and is going to be without shelter. We just helped another family over the last few weeks who have 13 people in their family who were in need of shelter. We have another girl that is in need of food, so I'm helping her today as well. So funding, it takes money to be able to provide and make certain that these families have what they need. So that's definitely a need that is there. I would say the other thing that we have a need for is facilitators and women who are passionate, women who believe in this work, who understand the value of a girl having her tribe, because at Daughters of Worth, our girls are not a program or project. When you're our girl, you are our girl for life. And so we believe that it's important to surround her with a tribe of women to love and support her through that journey. And so if that is something, as you're hearing a little bit about the work that we're doing and that tugs on your heart, we need women who are willing to step up and to stand in the gap and to be able to serve as facilitators and to as a volunteer for the organization.
To follow up with that question, if there are viewers watching who do want to help, where can they help you with these funds that you need, with donations, and also where can they learn more about being a facilitator?
Absolutely. So we have a couple of different methods for you to do that. You can give directly through our website at daughtersofworth.org. You can also give on Facebook, Venmo, Cash App. If you have questions directly, you can email me at liz@daughtersofworth.org. And we also have presence on Facebook. So we have a volunteer group that is there that I post videos and share more about the opportunity and what that looks like. We're going to be hosting some Zoom meetings. I have one coming up for a facilitator interest group. So whether it is you're just wanting to learn more about who we are, what we're doing, how we're serving, or you want to become invested directly, you can get involved either through email or Facebook or through our website.
Mm-hmm. And then if either girls or people that want to help out are interested in the organization and becoming a part of it, where can they learn more about this organization? How should they join, and how can they become a part of it?
So traditionally, this is kind of what the beauty of COVID is doing, looking for all of those little glimmers of gold in the middle of all of this. Traditionally, we have held it within the school system. So those girls have been identified through school administrators and counselors and educators for how you become a part of the group. But we are now in the process of making that virtual and to be able to expand the opportunity to girls across the board. So I would say to connect with us, again, through email, website, or Facebook, and we're going to have some different methods for how you can directly enroll. And all of our programs, I didn't mention this, all of our programs are offered to our girls completely free of charge. So we don't charge anything for girls to be involved. But we will have more information coming up soon for how you can get directly involved with our group and be a part of these sessions that are taking place.
That is amazing. Making sure that every girl, no matter their income restrictions, has the ability to be a part of these groups and organizations and these programs that are going to help them.
Absolutely.
So another kind of heavy question. What issue do you see that your girls come to you with most?
I would say, well, there was a lot of issues, and I couldn't say that there was one over another because there are so many things that we see. But what I would say to that is the root issue of worth. At the end of the day, when you have lack of resource, when you have been abused, when you have been neglected, when you have been trafficked, when you are dealing with substance use, when you are in toxic relationships, self-harming or having these mental health issues, across the board, at the end of the day, we have a whole lot of girls who look at themselves in the mirror and do not believe that they're worthy, that do not believe that they're enough, that do not believe that they're beautiful, that do not believe that their life has purpose and power. And when a girl does not know her worth, it trickles down into every aspect of her life. And so that is part of the work that we do first. That's one of the reasons that we believe so much in making certain that she has food, that she has clothes, that she has shelter, that she has hygiene items. We have so many girls that do not have personal hygiene items. Because in order for us to speak the truth of her beauty and her life and her purpose and her power and her calling and the gift of who she is, if that sweet girl is going home at night and she has no pillow and no blanket and she's lying on the floor, which we see a lot, or she's coming into a space and there's no running water, her clothes are stained and soiled, there's no way to wash them, she's hungry because she's not eaten in days, we see that a lot. If we know that those needs are present and we fail to meet those needs, there is no way I can speak into that sweet girl's life and tell her that she's worthy. And so we spend a lot of time, it takes about a year, honestly, at least, often for us to be able to just help to let her know that we are even trustworthy, that we are not leaving, that she's not a project, that we're not abandoning her, but to making her feel certain that her needs are met. And when she knows that she can trust us with those very basic things like socks or hygiene items or food, then she can begin to trust us with the things of her heart. And so that's one of the reasons that we strive to make certain that those needs are met first. And then as she begins to reveal the things of her heart and the deeper issues that are there, traditionally what you can find across the board is that there has been this lie, this deception of I'm not good enough and my life doesn't matter. And so that's where we begin to help her understand that everybody is broken. Everybody has got spaces in their heart and life that's not perfect. Some of us just do a really good job of hiding it and masking that, and so that other people can't see it. But the truth is, if you were to take apart each person in their room, you're going to find that there are spaces there. There are people who are struggling with different things. You just don't necessarily always see that when you meet that specific person. And then as we begin to understand that is there, you then have a choice. And this is where we always lead our girls to. At the end of the day, you have a choice. You can choose to be a victim of your circumstances. You can choose to stay here in all the things that are unfortunate, that have been awful, that you've experienced, and we're not taking any of that away. You can choose to stay in that space, or you can choose to overcome, and you can choose a life that, yes, this thing happened to me, but I'm not going to allow this to define who I am. And I get to cultivate the tomorrow and the future of my dreams. And I'm not going to allow this space where I have been broken and neglected and abused or whatever happened to hold me captive in this space, but rather I'm going to take that experience and allow it to propel me into my destiny and my future. And I am in control of that. I get to choose where I'm going. But the one thing that happens when I get to this space is I now have a responsibility, because I have overcome that hardship, to go back and to find somebody else who's in the trenches and help them to overcome as well. And so we try to bring all of this into play, and it looks different for every single girl. And that's a very long answer to your question, but I think it's important for people to understand how that's so deeply woven. At the end of the day, we want every girl to be able to look herself in the mirror and to love and to like who she is, and to know that regardless of if I made a good choice or a bad choice today, I'm still a worthy person. I'm still valuable. I'm still enough. And I have the power and the ability to overcome my circumstances and to create the life that I want for myself.
That's a very powerful message of overcoming and of worth that all people, men, women, children, elders, all need to hear, because we can overcome our circumstances
Absolutely.
when we're given the adequate resources like your organization. And I think that you basically answered my next question with that statement. And it's such a beautiful statement, but I'm going to ask the question still in case there's anything you would like to add on to that. So my question would be that what do you feel is the importance of empowering and educating these young women and girls, and also how do we do it?
That's a great question. I think that, the value is that when a girl knows her worth, it's going to change her life. It's going to absolutely, wholeheartedly, it's going to change the way that she views herself when she looks in the mirror. It's going to change the way that she prepares academically, because if she does not think that she has a future for that job that she wants or that career path she wants, she's not going to apply herself in the way that she needs. When a girl knows her worth, she's going to find that she's going to view relationships differently. She's going to be selective over the people that she allows to have a central role in her life, and the power of those the voices that come into her life that kind of direct her and her journey. It's going to change the way that she views her goal setting, her dreams. It honestly, there's not a single aspect of a girl's life that's not going to be impacted when she truly knows her worth. She's going to find strength in herself. And she's going to also learn that there is a beautiful power to her voice. And I think that there's a lot of women who have been quiet for so long in regards to so many different things. And it allows them to have the confidence to be able to go into a room or into a space that traditionally she may have been silenced, and have the power and grace to be able to speak her truth in a way that can be heard and can be received by the audience. And it also changes it. And as these girls and as these women begin to know their worth, it's going to affect generations. Because ultimately, what you have in your cup, what I have in my cup, when someone bumps into that cup, it's going to overflow onto that next person. So whatever we're filling ourselves up with is going to, in some way, impact the people that we are surrounded by. And so it's our responsibility to fill ourselves with that worth and with that, and to take responsibility for our own hearts and lives and destiny. And so that's part of the heart and the role that we see of that worth for the girls of our communities. And I think for each girl, I can't say it's a one fits all answers as far as the way that she's going to know her worth. I believe wholeheartedly in the power of counseling. We believe that mental health is so important. I think it's a conversation that we don't have often enough. We now know that suicide is the second leading cause of death for children ages 10 to 17. That's a problem. That's an issue. We're seeing mental health issues rise. We're seeing self-harm. In fact, last year, our largest amount of girls who were self-harming or had suicidal thoughts and ideations were around third grade, is what we found at Daughters of Worth last year. We're seeing a lot that is not being talked about. And so it's important for us to begin to help these girls get to their root causes. And so for one girl, it may look like counseling. For another, it's going to look different for each girl. But taking the time to allow her to be in the driving seat and asking her what she needs instead of us telling her what she needs, I think is a great way to start.
Mm-hmm. Third grade. Wow. The power that our generation holds now with social media and mass media and just having knowledge at your fingertips. It works in great ways, but I feel like it's also another root cause of the bad ways as well. So
Absolutely.
what are your group's plans for the future? What can our community expect to see from y'all?
It is very much a work in progress. This is I'm discovering that as I'm calling my girls to be able to push themselves and challenge themselves, I'm being challenged in this same process. Historically, we have met in the classroom, and because we're uncertain of what that's going to look like, we are now planning for virtual sessions. And so aligning our facilitators, we're going to be recording all of our sessions and having that in a format that anyone can access, which is going to be good because I think it's going to also allow girls who've not traditionally been part of the group to have the chance to be a part of Daughters of Worth. And so I'm still trying to figure out exactly what that's going to look like, but it's moving more towards a virtual format than the in-person setting until we can kind of get a hold of COVID.
Awesome.